Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Natalia, and in today's video, we are gonna be doing an adulting tips video. We're gonna be talking about moving out today. I remember it was exactly a year ago on August 1st actually, so a little over a year, that I moved into this apartment with my boyfriend. And that was the first time that I have ever moved out. So I went from living at home for 21 years. You know, I stayed living at home when I was in college, so I didn't get that dorm experience or anything, to completely going all out and living on my own, supporting myself financially 100% and having all these bills that I just didn't know how I was gonna do it. Luckily, I do have a job that is able to support me and that I'm able to financially support myself 100%, but it was very intimidating. And I feel like a lot of people are in this boat right now. And it's just so weird to think about because we've been living at home all this time and now you're on your own. This video is gonna be for those of you who need that guidance and support and help, and I'm here to help you guys out. I'm gonna tell you about budgeting and expenses. Those are like probably the most requested things. We're gonna be talking about looking at all your options. You know, you have this dream place in mind, and then when you're actually out there looking for apartments and places to live, you're like, oh crap, that's way more than I thought. So there are other options and stuff that you can find a silver lining to. Then there's also moving in checklists. You know, you have things that you know that you're gonna need, but what about those random things that you're like, oh wait, I didn't think about that. I probably should have got that. The last thing is the fun part, which is decorating your apartment. I know that was one of the biggest things that I was looking forward to. So let's get into this video. Before we do, I just wanna say, if you aren't subscribed, I would really appreciate it. I film lifestyle content, hauls, productive vlogs, and we are trying to reach 200 for the month of August, so I would really appreciate your support. And like this video, comment down below. I respond to all my comments, so if you guys have any questions that I didn't answer in this video, you can leave them in the comments down below and I will definitely answer that. Okay, so one of the most important things to consider is budgeting. Budgeting is so important because you have to realize how much you're making, how much you're spending, and how you're gonna pay your bills. And to do that, you have to see it all in front of you to realize, okay, these are my bills and this is how much I'm gonna make. So that's where I have to spend it on. So I'm gonna show you guys my budget. I created this before I moved out, and at first I just plugged in random numbers that seemed accurate. You know, I asked around like my coworkers and my family members. I asked them what would be accurate estimates of these numbers. So these are now adjusted to what I actually pay. So it's definitely more accurate, at least towards my budget. Everyone's is gonna be different depending where you live, the type of lifestyle that you have, the type of bills that you have, but this one is mine. Here I have broken it down onto Google Sheets. I like to use Google Sheets because I can access it from anywhere. So it's all in the drive, and here I have listed the names of the bills that I'm paying and then the actual amounts that I'm paying. And just because I'm a visual person, I put it into a pie chart just for fun. I mean, it really doesn't, you don't have to do that. Here I have FPL, which is in Florida, in this portion of Florida. It's the Florida Power and Light. So that bill comes out to $34 for me. And keep in mind, my bills are double the amount that is written in my Google Sheets, because my boyfriend and I split everything right down the middle. So here I have 34 for my electric bill, but it's actually 68 because we split everything in half. Same thing, so water, sewage, pest, that's something that you have to consider that also gets charged by the apartment complex. Here we have our Wi-Fi, it's $37 for me, and then rent is $520 just for my portion of the rent. So if you guys have a roommate, that is awesome because then you don't have to pay as much. Essentially, Austin and I are roommates since we are splitting our bills like that. But you know, if you do live with your partner, then you do have the option of doing this as well. The amount that I spend for gas in a month is around $60. Sometimes I like to kind of make it higher than what it actually is. And then food is always a tricky one for me because I say $180 for the month, but I just put that into my groceries. So if I go out to Chick-fil-A, if I go to McDonald's, that is not included in this $180. So that's something that even I, after living on my own for over a year now, still have trouble kind of like guesstimating, because I try my best not to go out, but I have to take that into account, which is why I also have a miscellaneous portion, which that can be Starbucks, Chipotle, whatever it is, that can go into there. Then I have my other bills, like my phone bill, and then I have my credit card. I currently don't have any credit card debt, so that is at zero. I used to have a lot of credit card debt. I made sure to put that into my monthly expense, and if I'm gonna be consistently making $200 payments for my credit card, that's gonna be in there. You know, just keep it most up to date as you can as possible. My car payment is gonna stay the same, $400. Laundries, some apartment complexes don't come with washer and dryer in units. You have to either pay more for it or whatever the case may be. So for ours, it was optional. We could either not have a laundry washer like in unit, because they also have like a laundry facility on the premise, but that just came to be such an inconvenience, and it's only $25 per month for each of us. So they're $50, $25 for the washer, $25 for the dryer. So we're like, this is gonna be so much easier. We're just gonna rent some from the apartment complex. So we did that, and honestly, it has been so worth it. And then like I said, I have my miscellaneous tab. That could be clothes, it could be like stuff that I normally don't get, like Bear's dog food. That will be in there. Even though it is a necessity, I take that out of that $200. So it's just the way that you wanna budget things. And then I did have a big dentist bill from getting my wisdom teeth removed and everything like that, so I am paying it off monthly, so that's $102. So that's how my expenses are broken down. And then, like I said, I have this pie chart right here that obviously my car payment and my rent take up the biggest portion of my monthly expenses. Okay, so now that we've kind of discussed budget and what budget looks like, let's talk about those other expenses that you just didn't really think about. I know some of those expenses are like, oh, you had to pay for that. So some of those things that I didn't take into consideration when moving out that now I know we have to take account for are things like pest, sewage, and trash. That might have been like a surprise for some of you guys when you saw that on there. Some apartment complexes include that in your rent, and ours technically does, but it still shows up as like a separate fee. So when you're looking on apartments.com, that's not going to be included in just the base rent. It's going to be a separate fee, and you can pay it all at once when you pay your rent, but it's going to be, you know, separate. Another thing that you have to take into account is things like if you have a dog or a pet. Some places charge pet rent, a lot of places now actually. So for dogs in a lot of places, they can range from $25 to $50. And you also have to pay pet deposits, but that's something you might not get back. So for dogs, I know a lot of places charge $500 for pet deposit, and that's something that you have to pay up front when you move in. A lot of those places don't refund that, so it's just $500 that you're going to have to take into account and remember to save up for, and make sure you have enough for that. Another thing that you have to take into account is renter's insurance. Luckily, our place that we live in right now, renter's insurance is optional. Because I know when we first moved in, we were like, we don't need renter's insurance and stuff, but that's something that you have to take into account for, because a lot of apartment complexes actually require that you have renter's insurance. Since we didn't get it because we were like,
oh, we're gonna live on the edge.
You know, if there's a flood, oh well, we're screwed. But a lot of places do require that because they don't want to be liable for, you know, if they're in Florida, if there's a hurricane and a giant tree comes going through the living room and, you know, your whole place gets flooded. Well, other apartment complexes will enforce that, and you do have to pay that. Since we didn't opt in for that, I'm not sure exactly, I can't really give you guys a quote. Random things that you would not even think about. I know when we were looking for apartment complexes, there are certain apartments that actually charge more depending on what part of the apartment complex you want. So if you want to be on the top floor and it is like a 7-story apartment building, you might be paying more for that top floor, or vice versa. If you want to be on the first floor, I know that I requested first floor because our apartment complex doesn't have elevators and it's only 2 stories, but I much rather be on the first floor moving in, because groceries and all that stuff, I just don't want to deal with being on the second floor. I'm sorry, but I'm just way too lazy for that. So I requested that we get a first floor apartment. Luckily our apartment complex didn't charge more for that, but I know there are apartment complexes out there that do charge more for having a first floor or a top floor. So you have to think about those things as well. All right, so moving on to the next topic, it is looking at all your options. When you're moving out, I'm sure you have this picture perfect place in mind, and you know, it's modern, it's spacious, and it's all around $1,000. Well, I'm sorry, that's just not gonna happen. I remember looking at Pinterest photos and being like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to turn my place into this. And well, here I am, a year later, still trying to turn my place into those Pinterest perfect places. And honestly, it's hard to judge a book by its cover, because when you go on apartments.com, or if you look up the places that you're potentially gonna move into on Google, those places are gonna have great pictures on the website, but then you go on Google and they have horrendous pictures. And you're like, there's no way that I'm ever going to live here. So one thing that I would recommend is always going to the places in person to feel out how you like it. I remember when Austin and I went apartment hunting, we checked out like the most expensive ones first. Like we knew it was kind of out of our budget, but we still wanted to give it a shot. And I remember even one of the most expensive ones we just didn't connect with. And we came to the place last minute, this place last minute, and we were like, oh, I don't know, the pictures are okay, but they are meeting all the requirements that we want. Once we came here and we physically drove in, we were like, this is it, this is the place. And of course, the fact that it was under our budget helped a lot too in our decision making. And make sure to check and model that they have for you to see, so they actually can picture what your place is gonna look like when you're living there. Because that was the biggest thing for me, is always checking to see what the models look like. And that way you can envision things when you're getting ready to move out, so that you can know where your couch is gonna be, know how big your couch has to be. That's how I was able to get a lot of the furniture beforehand, even though I was just storing it in my parents' garage at the time. But I had things set in place so that I wasn't just sitting on a cardboard box having dinner, you know, the night before, because I wasn't sure what kind of dining room to get. So that really does help. Okay, so now it is time to talk about that checklist that I was talking about. So I'm gonna name off the must-haves that you need to get first, and then we're gonna go into like the miscellaneous stuff that people don't think that they need, or just don't think of when they're moving into a new place, that you definitely wanna get. The must-haves include, some of these are like no-brainers, but obviously you have to have a bed, a bed frame, you have to have a place to eat, like a dining room set, or bar stools if there's like a countertop that you could put bar stools at, somewhere to eat just so you're not eating on the floor, paper towels, toilet paper, cleaning supplies, dish soap, cups, plates, utensils, all that stuff we actually bought beforehand, like a month before, at Goodwill. Not the utensils, but like the cups and plates, because they were so much cheaper than actually going to like Target, and we were able to find some really nice ones from Goodwill. A trash can is a must, trash bags, hand soap, and a shower curtain, guys. Shower curtain is so important because you move in, you want to take a shower after a long day of moving, and you're like, crap, I'm gonna get the entire bathroom wet because I forgot a shower curtain. So unless you have one of those showers with the doors on them, you're gonna need a shower curtain. The next stuff that is random that most people don't think about, or you might forget, so those things are food for the morning after. I'm sure once you've had a long day of moving, you're going to not want to do anything the next day and just sort of relax. So you're going to want to make sure you have some breakfast essentials for the next morning, unless you're going to go out and eat somewhere. Then you're going to want to have covers for the windows. I remember our first night here in this apartment, it was such a bright night because Austin and I's bedroom window was right next to a street light, and there was so much light coming in from outside. It was so hard to fall asleep if we weren't so exhausted. So definitely have some covers, also for that privacy. Luckily there's blinds on our windows, but if you don't have blinds, you definitely want to get some sort of curtains or covers for the windows. Then you want to make sure you have a toolbox or screwdrivers, you know, those essentials that come in toolboxes. So hammer, screwdriver, electric screwdriver, all that stuff you're gonna want to have, because once you start decorating your place, you're gonna need those things in order to put them up on the wall. Then you want a plunger for sure. We had to learn that the hard way. I'm not gonna go in depth about that story, but let's just say we needed to make emergency run to Walmart one night and get a plunger, and we needed it ASAP. So that definitely could have come in handy if we had it already. A broom and a dustpan. And then a fan or a heater, depending where you live. We sleep with that every single night because yes, we have AC, but the fan is just nice because it's blowing air on us constantly. So my last piece of advice is for decorating your apartment. I know that was the most exciting thing for me when I first moved into this apartment, and I was so ready to make it look like all the Pinterest pictures that I'd been saving to my boards. And well, that stuff gets expensive. My biggest piece of advice is to wait, because me being the person who I am, I know that when I want things, I want them now, and I don't want to wait. I'm not even the type to order online because it takes too long to get to me. I would have saved myself so much more money, and I would be much happier with the things that I have if I just waited to save up the money that I needed, or to wait for the things to get back into stock. And that's just like my biggest piece of advice when decorating is you're not gonna get everything all at once. That's just an unrealistic expectation, and it's not gonna be all perfect in the beginning. But if you just wait to get the things that you truly want, then you'll be a lot happier with your place. All right guys, that is all for my moving out adulting tips video. Please leave a comment down below of any tips that were helpful, or if you had any questions still, I will definitely answer them in the comments down below. Also, if you like this sort of content on adulting tips, I will be making this into a series on my channel. So if you guys want me to do a video on any adulting tips that you guys have, just leave them in the comments down below and I will definitely do a video on them. So if you guys like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you guys have a great Monday. Bye guys.